benefit of having these 2 days of practice for you guys?
Yeah, sometimes the universe conspires for you. It hasn't in certain areas, and today and yesterday I thought were really good days where the light was flickering and the light came on. Now we need to obviously do it on the stage, but there were a lot of really good things like them starting to ask questions, correct each other. There are things like that I feel special teams and teams that start to take those steps up the ladder that they do. I've seen a lot of it on both sides, on offense and defense. And those are conversations that have to be had. It's like I can continue and we as a staff can show you film and show you breakdowns and all those things, but not until you own it and then you guys start correcting each other does it take that real magical leap.
Is there a individual voice, maybe a couple guys that you look to have to play that role? I remember, Mike had that leadership committee, and I don't know if that trickles over into what you're looking for. But is there one person you look for and say, gosh, this needs to be the guy that does that?
I mean, it's a good question, Sean, but I think really, those are things that you find out in training camp and different, because a lot of times you can identify who you think is your leader, and then all of a sudden you find out that actually somebody else is your leader. And those are things that you so you let them work together and you let them have their voice, and all of them were in it today. Like everyone had a voice, and what you're going to find is the voice finds its way to the top.
You Coach, you just said something, what's your response when players come to you and start asking those questions, because they seem like they're in a position where maybe I'm not doing something right, or maybe I'm doing something good, that I need some more feedback?
For me, I try to engage them as much as possible so that it always keeps the safe spot, for they always feel like they can say whatever they need to say, good or bad or indifferent, it doesn't matter. And when that happens, and I was blessed obviously to be an assistant coach, and I mess with those guys, every single one of them. I talk to them in a way that I never have changed as a head coach, even though the title changed, how I approach you, what I say in the morning to you, how all those things stay the same. So hopefully that safe place stays, and they have the ability to feel like they're comfortable enough to come talk to me. And so far, so good. Now I have to also build that with new players, and then I have to build that with new units, and then bench units. Like there are different little sects within a team that you have to be able to address, and trying to do all of that is time consuming and tough, but it's actually the part probably that I enjoy the most, because it's relationship based with the players, which I truly care for them all.
When they walk away, do you feel like that you gave them the best response that you possibly?
You have to ask them that, because my responses are wild sometimes. So sometimes I had Coach Carrill, to give you an example, and Coachy would say things to me in a way, my reference of it is like he would hand me a grenade and he would pull the pin and walk away. But you never, and then it might blow up then, it might blow up later, but the aha moment happens. So the things I say to them, sometimes they might be like, what the hell is Coach saying? But then all of a sudden they go, I get what you're saying. And that's really what I'm looking for more than anything. And for each player, it's different. I'm not a coach, in my opinion, that you cookie cut everything for everybody. You have to know them individually, know the things that they like, know the different examples that you give them. One might, is hip hop, and one might be rock and roll. So I have to have a vast knowledge of being able to deal with those players, and just trying to bridge that gap in communication. I always find it interesting.
I know what Coachy means to you. I mean, do you feel like he was so blunt? I mean, I just wonder if his strategy would even work today with young guys who kind of need to be fed with optimism and positivity.
You're right, because he was very blunt. But our conversations were a little different. Like, he would be talking about life and using basketball as an analogy. Or to reverse that, he'd be talking about basketball and using life as an analogy. So it depends. I think Coachy could coach anybody because he cares enough about the person for him to try to figure out how to get to him. Not saying this is the way that it is and you need to figure it out. And that's something that I've taken from him, because I don't think I personally don't think that's the way to go. Like, there are a lot of different ways to solve the problem. Do I care about them enough to try to figure it out on my own? And I tell them, like, man, I'm thinking about you guys like way too much, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at the house, I'm walking my dog, I'm like, yo, like, I need a second. But, it's a lot of fun.
What's your ideal rotation for Markelle Fultz? How many minutes do you want to get him a game? And, are you happy with what he's done so far?
Well, I was happy with what he did when he got in the game. As far as ideal, I'm not 100% sure yet. I think like he has to find his rhythm with the group that he's given. And part of what he needs to do is run that show. And then if he's good in that, I think that's where it begins to bolster and become more. But also he's working his way in not only into the team, physically, all those different, there's a lot of different things going on. So I have to respect that at the same time. And I try to communicate with him every day, like, how you feeling, what you seeing, do you know that? Because like he needs to know his job, but he also needs to know everybody else's job. And that's a big task, especially when you're coming in and you're not sure how much you're going to play and you're not sure who's going to be on the floor. So when we script, we're trying to put him with different people so he understands how Domas likes it, but then he also understands how Malik likes it. Like that, it's a lot. So I can't give you an answer, but I do like what I see.
Hey, Doug, not to be too blunt, but it seems like the details and the little things and effort have been the message all season for this team. Why do you think that hasn't really taken root on the court yet, or at least in a way that's really translated to consistent winning? And what do you think? Like,
You mean prior or now?
For me, it seems to have been the whole season, but maybe just speak to your tenure, since that's really.
Well, I don't think like I've had a problem with that, to be honest with you. Like, I thought that when I took over, they were highly aggressive. They went in on the road into hostile environments and played at a really high level. Now, maybe since trades and all that stuff, but that's what I said yesterday. A lot of that's to be expected because guys are now, they're thinking on the floor. You don't want players thinking on the floor. If you think on the floor at this level, it's a wrap, it's done. It has to become second nature. And I think these 2 days hopefully have given us a better idea of how to solve those problems. But as far as effort and all that, I haven't, when I go back and I watch the tape, do I see it sometimes? But I don't see it from a like, I don't want to give effort standpoint. I see it from a what am I supposed to do standpoint. And those are two totally different things. Like, if I knew what to do, I would already be up. If I knew what to do, I would already be rotating. And that's just, that's different. But and I can't speak about everything else, but I'm just talking about what I've experienced.
Anything else?
You guys good? You got one?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
Coach.
Appreciate it.